So, if you are always struggling when it comes to staying consistent on social media and creating content to market your small business, we need to talk about one thing first, and that's your content creation process. And there are actually just three simple things that you need to understand as a small business owner to have a really solid content creation process. We have to figure out who we're talking to, what type of content to make, and then actually creating a schedule to make it. And today I'm breaking it all down, so let's go. Number one, you have to know your overall business goals and who you are talking to. And here's the thing, I don't want this to deter you from watching the rest of the video because I'm going to give you some great tips, tricks, advice, things like that. And I know you've heard this so many times before, is know your audience, know your goals. We're going to go over a really quick and brief review, but this is the most important step. It's actually the foundation for all the other steps to creating a very solid content creation process. So I want to give you a quick crash course. So number one, we have to figure out your goals and why you were wanting to create content for your business in the first place. So I want you to think here, can you answer the question, why am I creating content for my small business? And it can't be something like, I just want to grow followers. I just want to get bigger on Instagram. Let's dive a bit deeper here. And the answer can be simple. My answer to that question is to build brand awareness. Because ultimately, my goal here is to draw people in with my free content and build a community, continuing to provide them value, but also get them in my sales funnel to eventually have them make a purchase from me. I want them to eventually buy one of my digital products. And this is going to help shape where I show up online. So again, keeping that question in mind, why are you showing up? Let's run through a couple of examples. Let's say you're wanting to book more one-on-one clients. You're better off showing up on Instagram so you can have those intimate conversations in the DMs. You can show the behind the scenes process on Instagram stories. And you have the ability to create content now, like they can see it in real time. And that's going to help engage them and bring them into your service offerings or whatever you offer one-on-one. Whereas the opposite for me, I want to build brand awareness over the long term. I'm showing up on places like YouTube. This content isn't always seen right in the moment, right in the now, has a longer shelf life. So while it's going to take me a little bit more time to bring and build an audience here, I know that long term, it's helping me build awareness on this platform as well as other platforms so that I can repurpose my content. I can show up on YouTube for the long term and then create other small video assets or other types of content based on this video. And I can show up on more of those short-term platforms like Instagram, like showing up on stories, like showing up on LinkedIn, where people will get that content from me, quote unquote, now. But then I also have a longer shelf life with my YouTube content. Or maybe you're needing to sell more of your physical products. Right now, it might be advantageous of you to show up on TikTok with more engaging videos of your products and connecting it to something like TikTok Shop so that you can optimize your profile to encourage people to actually buy your physical product right this second. But knowing why you're creating content and those long-term, short-term goals, it's going to help you figure out what content you need to create and where you need to create it. And then the second part of this is knowing who you're talking to, your audience. So again, we just answered that why question. Now we need to answer the who question. Who are you talking to and how are you going to attract them? So I won't go into this, but you need to know their basic demographics. You need to know a little bit about them. There's so much content, and I'm sure you guys have heard this about a million times. But I want to dive into their behavior, where and how they show up online and how that relates to you and the way that you're going to create content. Because this is the part of the process that a lot of small business owners skip. You might already know their age. You might even have kind of a fake name for them, know their sex, their gender, things like that. But we need to dive even deeper. So my audience and my focus are small business owners in the creative space. That audience is quite broad. So I like to show up in multiple places with different formats of content so that they can consume it in whatever way they need to, since entrepreneurs tend to be very busy and don't have a lot of time to consume content. So I have these YouTube videos that they can kind of play in the background and listen to. Or maybe they have a little bit of time on their lunch break to scroll through some of my Instagram content and read it. But ultimately, I need to tap into quite a few different ways that entrepreneurs like to consume content, so I have to show up in more places with a variety and diversity in my content. And I create with that in mind. Maybe you create beaded necklaces and your target audience is more of like the Gen Z generation. You need to focus more on platforms like Instagram and TikTok and not really care so much about Facebook and LinkedIn. A Gen Z audience does not want to read a LinkedIn article about where you source your beads or how ethical your X, Y, and Z is. They really don't care about that stuff. And that's not going to help you sell your products. Instead, you need to create eye-catching and engaging videos on TikTok of people their age, their demographic wearing it, or even kind of collecting UGC, user-generated content, of customers that have purchased your products before. Your content can't always feel like an ad, and you don't need to have these big long form pieces of content to sell your products. And last quick example here is maybe you're a realtor and you specialize in helping military families find new homes in the areas they're getting stationed to. You're not going to want to, again, go on something like LinkedIn and instead use something like Instagram and even Facebook. Tap into some Facebook groups. These moms that are part of these military families, where are they online? Where are they showing up? Maybe they have little ones sitting next to them that might be sleeping, they might be busy in an activity. That mom can't always watch a 1-minute reel or a 10-minute YouTube video because she's busy tending to her kids. And instead, she just needs a quick snapshot of a post in a Facebook group that she can quickly read through. I know this realtor can help me find a home because I'm getting stationed here, XYZ, or at least give me a referral. And again, that helps you gear your content towards your audience and helps you figure out where to show up and what to create. So number 2, the things that you need to know about a content creation process. You have to figure out what type of content you want to create and where you want to create it. I've already loosely started talking about this, but we need to go deeper here. So when thinking about the type of content that you want to create, I know right now everybody's telling you you have to be on video. And I'm going to go against what a lot of marketers say here, and you actually need to lean into your interest and your strengths. And I know that's not the answer everybody always wants to hear. You're like, can I just have a formula? Tell me exactly what to do. And that's not going to work here. Because here's the thing, if you absolutely hate showing up on video and you're creating 5 videos a week, your audience is going to pick up on how uncomfortable you might feel, or they can feel the dread through your videos, and it's just not going to perform the way you want it to, despite how popular video might be right now. Now, the caveat here, this doesn't mean that you should only create one type of content and never stray from it. You should always play around with new things. Really push yourself. Try and learn new skills when it comes to content creation. Going back to the video example here, let's say you absolutely hate creating video and creating 5 talking head reels is what some expert told you to do. You're eventually going to hate creating that amount of content. You're gonna burn out, and it's going to harm you in the long run when it comes to consistency and like having healthy boundaries with content creation and social media. But instead, if you're that person that hates creating video, lean into creating really powerful carousels and showing up on video maybe once a week on Reels and a couple of times on stories throughout the week. This way, you're getting practice with a new type of content, a new style, without overly having to commit yourself to something that you don't like doing. And kind of going along with this, you have to think about not only the type of content that you like, the type of content that your audience is going to resonate with and look through, you also have to think about the platforms you're going to show up on as it relates to all of those factors. So for me, I am a person who absolutely loves creating video content. That's why I create these YouTube videos. And I also love repurposing. So I repurpose this video into short form videos, and it kind of streamlines the rest of my content creation process. So that's why my main focus is on platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok that leans heavily into video. Each of these platforms has such a high emphasis on video. Some of them are video only platforms, and I can repurpose all of this content on multiple different platforms. But let's say you're better at writing. Maybe focus more on creating really powerful LinkedIn articles and posts that you can repurpose as Instagram captions. And it's super easy for you to just create a graphic to go along with that caption. And if you're the writer, don't try and force yourself to create long form YouTube videos. It's just not going to work. And maybe if you're wanting to try out a new platform or try out a new type of content, maybe take the articles that you've written and read them aloud into a microphone and post it as a podcast, or it's just like audio only. But you see how you're taking these strengths and the things that you like to create and making them work for you, and that's how you determine the platforms you're going to show up on too. And now moving into number 3 of the things that you need to know for a content creation process, and it's actually creating a routine or a schedule. And this is the step that I see a lot of small business owners kind of skip over. And most of the time, you're creating content whenever you want to, whenever you can, or whenever you feel inspired. But you have to find a process that works for you so you're building in healthy habits with content creation, just like you would in any other part of your business. Let me run you through a couple of examples here. Let's say you're one of those people who either hates creating content or you have no time for content. You need to lean into other resources or service providers to really help you pump out as much content as possible in as little amount of time as possible. So if you don't quite have the budget for a social media manager or a VA to help you out with this, I have a couple of recommendations here for you. You can tap into something like your template club, Canva templates, and there's even a part of this club that has monthly content packs. So you can just sit down and batch create all your Instagram content all at one time. Just get it done for the entire month. That's going to allow you to have more flexibility in your schedule without the pressure of having to show up on social media like every single day. And then you can tap into other resources. Like I use your template club all the time, but I also use something called the Reels Report by B Squared Social, which gives me those trending audios for Reels and TikTok that I don't have to go searching for. And there's always like prompts and fun examples and things like that. So again, I can sit down and batch create that type of content and move on with my day. Or maybe you are the type of entrepreneur or content creator that you want to build content creation into more part of like your weekly routine. Maybe this looks like blocking off your Monday afternoons and literally putting it on your calendar, putting it in your project management tool and saying, I have 3 hours to get content done for the rest of the week. And that's going to include your videos. You're going to write all your captions. Maybe you're going to schedule out a newsletter and you give yourself that block of time towards those activities. Again, this works just like anything else in your business. Like if you're the kind of person who says, Wednesdays are my call days, Wednesdays are my client days where I'm focusing on this one activity, you have to start doing the same thing for your content creation if that's the way you want to show up. Or you can be a little bit crazy like me where I have daily, weekly, and monthly tasks dedicated towards content creation. And I've built it into my habits, my routines. I prioritize it as a business owner because this is my job, this is my career. But it's also one of those things that I know is so important to market my business effectively that I know day in and day out, I need to do X, Y, and Z. Weekly, I know I need to be repurposing content. And monthly, I need to sit down and batch record these videos. So whichever way you want to show up, and I'm going to have a whole YouTube video about this more in depth in the next coming weeks, you have to decide on a routine or a habit or a schedule that you can follow consistently. So that's a wrap on the 3 things you need to create a very solid content creation process for your small business. And it's something that works for you. Remember, there's no one-size-fits-all approach. This is just a framework to kind of help you figure it out. And if you found this helpful, make sure you guys go to the link below and grab my free Airtable content planner, which is going to make part of this process a whole lot easier. That way you can get all of your content creation process organized. Other than that, I will see you guys next week, and don't forget to hit subscribe.